guys, it's Jen. Welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be all about these two new hard candy palettes that I found at my local Walmart recently. These are $10 each, which is super affordable, but I just wanted to do a video on them to kind of let you know if they're worth the price or not. So I'm going to be doing a full review. I'm also going to be comparing this one to the Huda Beauty New Nudes palette because it looks like it might be a dupe. And I'm also going to do two looks with each palette. So why don't we go ahead and just jump right in. So let's start out with this one first. This one's called Blushful Nudes. Inside you get 15 shades. It comes in the same packaging as all their other Look Pro palettes. You have this tiny little mirror right here, which isn't too useful. You also have two brushes. One's like a double sponge tip applicator, and then the other brush is a slanted eyeliner on one side, and then the other side is like a tiny little crease brush. So let's take a closer look at this palette, and I'll just read you the description. It says, Hard Candy's Look Pro Blushful Nudes palette features 15 super sweet but not so innocent shadows that add spark and glamour to any occasion. Go from girly to glamorous in an instant. The spontaneous palette includes super soft spoken mattes, 3D iridescent shimmers, multi-dimensional metallics, and glamorous glitters. The Smooth Glide formulas let you go from soft to sassy in an instant, complete with 4 professional eyeshadow applicators and a built-in mirror. So in case you didn't guess, this looks very, very similar to the Huda Beauty New Nudes palette. I'll just show you them side by side really quick so you can see how similar they are. They really copied everything from the shade selection to the 2 glitters that are in these palettes to those multi-dimensional kind of marbly metallic shades. The one thing that the Huda does have that the Hard Candy doesn't is that cream concealer shade, which I'm totally fine with. I don't even use that shade in the Huda palette at all, and I feel like the powders just kind of get stuck in it. So I like that this doesn't have the cream. Another thing to note about the formula that's different than the Huda is that those iridescent chunky metallic shades, like these right here, in the Huda palette, they feel like a cream to powder formula, and they dried out since I started using this palette. I want to say I got this last fall when it first launched. So now when I try to dip into those shades, they're really hard to pick up because they've kind of hardened over time. But these are actually more like a baked formula. So they're not the cream to powder at all. They're not going to dry out. And actually what I love about these is even though they're pretty intense on their own, when you wet them, they really, really come to life. And I feel like they look even more intense than the Huda ones. They're amazing. So I was actually overall very impressed with this palette. I haven't had the best luck with these Look Pro palettes in the past. I found them to be very hit and miss. They do have an all matte one that I really enjoyed, but the other ones since then have just kind of been like okay for me. But this one actually was really good. If you like a really strong pigmented matte eyeshadow, you're not going to find that in here, especially the deeper ones. I did find that I had to build them up a little bit, but they were super easy to build up. They feel really soft and velvety, and they don't have a lot of fallout either, which is amazing. The only ones I would say that have an issue with fallout in the palette are, again, these marbly metallic shades, but it's glitter fallout because they are really glittery. So I definitely recommend wetting them because A, you get the best intensity, and B, they're just gonna look way more shiny and foiled on the eyes. So I'm just gonna show you 2 looks that I did with this palette. One is more of like kind of a pinky brown look, and then the other one is just more of an all pink look. So let's start out with the pinky brown shade first. I'm gonna just show you which shades I used really quick. So for my crease, I used this shade which is called Love Child. It's just a really pretty matte, soft, kind of peachy brown. And then to deepen the outer corner of my eye, I used this one, Surrender, which is like a deeper pinky brown shade. And then on my lid, I used one of these metallic shades called Connection. Sorry, all the names are on the back of the palette. It's a brown metallic shade with pink glitter in it. It's so beautiful. And then on my lid, starting on the inner corner and working to about midway, I used this shade Flirty Girl right here, which is also one of those metallic shades. And I did use these dry. This was the first look that I did, and I just wasn't sure how they were going to apply yet. So you'll be able to see what they look like dry and then wet because the other 3 looks I did wet them. So here's what this one looks like. I thought it was really soft and pretty. And like I said, I did have to build up the matte crease shade and also the outer corner shade just a little bit, but not too bad. And I just found that they build really nicely on themselves. Okay, so then for look number 2, I did more pink and purple shades. So I started out with this one in my crease right here. It's called Class Act. It's a really beautiful matte lavender shade. Then I put this one on my outer corner right here. This one is called Love Affair, and it's a deep plum matte shade. And then on my lid, I used this metallic shade So Sassy, which I did wet with setting spray. So you'll see how metallic that is on my eyes in this next clip right here. And I just love this look. I thought it was just really pretty and soft and romantic. I love pink and purple shades so much. And again, I felt like all the shades were really easy to work with. So overall, if I had to compare the Blushful Nude palette to Huda Beauty's new nudes, I would say the Huda is definitely more pigmented, especially the matte shades, but those are also harder to blend. So if you're more of a beginner, or if you don't like spending a lot of time with blending, I would say this one would probably be a better bet, just because you can build up the shades to the intensity that you want, and I tend to like palettes like that a little bit more. I also really like the metallic shades in this one because they're more of that baked formula, and you can make them just as intense as the cream ones in the Huda palette if you just wet them, and they're not going to dry out, which is definitely a bonus. Also, this one doesn't have that concealer shade in it, which was a waste for me as far as this palette goes. This one does have 3 less shades in it. It's also $10 compared to this one, which is I think $65, and I honestly don't think the looks that I create with this one are that much different than this one. So I would definitely call this one a solid dupe. Now there are other dupes out on the market. You have the Alter Ego Daydream palette. You also have the Aromas palette from YouCanBe. Now I know you guys are going to be asking me which dupe is the best. It's so hard to say. The Aromas palette is amazing. It also doesn't have the concealer shade. It has just a matte ivory in its place, so I really love that about it. This one also is an identical dupe for Huda's new nudes. It has the 18 shades in it, and it does have those creamy shades though, so I feel like they may dry out. I just got this one very recently, so I'm not sure how they're going to dry out yet, but so far really enjoying it. I think it's really good. And then the Alter Ego Daydream palette, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I did a video comparing this to new nudes. I did one on one eye and one on the other, and I found it to be kind of similar to the Hard Candy palette in the sense that the matte shades are just more on the buildable side. It does have the cream concealer shade in it though, which is starting to dry out quite a bit. And these creamy shades are still feeling creamy, but it's only been a couple of months, so it might be just a matter of time before they dry out like the Huda ones do. So just something to keep in mind. It's hard for me to say which one is the best one because they all kind of have good things about them. The one thing I can say for Hard Candy is not only is it the most affordable, it's also the only one that you can find in store, because the Aromas palette you do have to order online as well as the Daydream. So if you're looking to just go and get a palette in person, you can always just run to Walmart and pick this one up. Oh, and also I forgot there's one from Makeup Revolution's Pro line as well. That's a kind of a dupe for the Huda new nudes, but as I swatched them side by side, I found that it actually really wasn't as close as these palettes are. Plus, I really didn't care for the formula of that one at all. I just didn't think that it was that great. So I'm totally not even mentioning that one in this video because it does have some different shades in it. So I don't think it's a complete exact dupe. So I'm sorry to confuse you guys and not pick like a clear winner, but I just feel like all of the dupe ones have a really similar formula in that they're a little bit more buildable, not quite as pigmented as the original, but still totally workable. You can make a lot of the same exact looks with them. So I would say if you have either one of these dupes, I would skip the Hard Candy one because it's just the exact same shades again, and I do feel like the formulas are really similar. All right, so let's move on to the green palette. This one's called Smoke Out, and when I first saw it, I was thinking smoke out like smoky shades. It kind of didn't make sense. Then I saw this sticker right here that said infused with hemp oil, so I think they mean smoke out like it's a marijuana thing. On the back it does say that it's THC and CBD free, so just something that I wanted to mention, but let's go ahead and take a closer look at this one. It says Hard Candy's Look Pro Smoke Out palette features 15 shades infused with hemp oil. Known for its creamy texture and moisturizing properties, the Smokin' Hot collection of gangster greens, lit up coppers, bohemian browns, chilled out neutrals, and groovy golds lets you light up the town. Shadows disperse effortlessly, evenly, with lasting effects, complete with 4 professional eyeshadow brushes and a built-in mirror. So lots of pot references in that description for sure. Funny enough though, this does have hemp oil. I saw it in the ingredient list and this one doesn't, but I kind of feel like they're very similar in the way that they apply. I did really like this one as well. I felt that the mattes blended really beautifully and evenly. They're not super powdery or have like a ton of fallout, which is really awesome. They just are, again, more buildable shades, so they're not going to be super pigmented as soon as you apply them. You are going to have to build up the color just a little bit, but again, something that I don't mind at all. The shimmer shades feel really buttery and creamy when you put your finger in them. Unfortunately, they don't pick up well with a brush, and that's the other thing actually I forgot to mention with the Blushful Nudes palette, is that those don't either. So you're definitely going to want to use your finger when applying the shimmer shades. And another really cool thing about the shimmers in this palette is if you apply them dry, they're just more of a subtle shimmer, which is great if you have textured eyelids and you don't want something super shiny or super metallic. But if you wet them with a setting spray, they do actually take on a really metallic look. So it's kind of a versatile palette in that way. I feel like people who do have textured eyelids can still use this, or if you're looking for that more intense look, just wet them and you can get that as well. So let's go ahead and look at the two looks that I did. I did one that was a little bit more subtle and like an olivey green look, and then I did this brighter one right here. So let's do the olivey one first. So the first shade I used for my crease was this one, Hash. It's just like a really light brown matte shade. And then on the outer part of my lid, I used this dark green shimmer, which is called Smokin'. This one is so super pigmented. It's just really rich and beautiful. It's also not super metallic or shiny either, which I really liked about it. So that one on the outer corner. And then on the lid, I used this one right here called Burnt, which is just like a really soft olivey green. So let's take a look at that one. I feel like this one is really easy to wear. Even though it's green, it's not bright. If you don't like to wear those bright colors, this allows you to wear a little bit of color without it being too bright or vibrant. All right, and then moving on to the green look that I'm wearing right now, I started out with this bright shade in my crease. This one's called Grass. It looks a lot brighter in the pan than it does when you put it on your eyes. It shears out considerably, so it was a really nice crease color. And then on my lid, I applied this shade right here, which is called Kush. This one has a slight tiny bit of shimmer in it, but it's one of those mattes that has like a little bit of glitter particles. So that one just went all over my lid. And then for my outer corner, I used this deeper matte shade Baked. And then in the center of my lid, just for a little dimension, I used this shade Puff right here, and I did use it wet, so it was super vibrant. Here's a look at what this came out like, and I really think this is so pretty. Even though this isn't something I personally would wear every day, I can definitely appreciate these really bright, vibrant greens, and I was definitely impressed with how they applied. All right, guys, so final thoughts on these two palettes are that I actually like them a lot. I think they're really fun, interesting palettes for 10 bucks, and really you can't go wrong with them. I mean, the formula is good. I feel like if you like those softer, more subtle looks like I do, they're great for that. But even if you like more bold pigmented shadows, you could always build these up a little bit, wet the shimmers, and you can get those really intense looks with them as well. So they're pretty versatile, and I think they're beautiful for $10. This one I think you can skip if you have the Huda Beauty New Nudes or if you have the other dupes for it. I would say just don't even worry about this one because you do have all the shades already. This one, on the other hand, is really interesting and unique, especially if you love green eyeshadows. It's definitely not for everybody, but if you don't have the Makeup Revolution Tasty Avocado palette, which looks really similar to this, then I would definitely pick this up, especially if you love greens. All right, guys, so that's everything. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. Also, let me know down in the comments below what you think of these palettes and if you're planning to pick them up. I love hearing your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.